Hello everybody and welcome to the second round of the Tail Racing Ring Runners in Season 10. It's time for the GT1 cars here at the combined 24-hour layout. We're taking the short first chicane and the whole of the rest of the Grand Prix circuit on our way through round number 2. I've got to say I'm very much looking forward to this one, although how much we're going to see of it with the dark conditions, it's remains to be seen. I'm Ewan alongside James Parfitt for this round of the championship. This round is going to sound amazing, I've got to say. The Aston Martin and the Corvette sound fantastic, if not completely different in so many ways. They also look fairly different. Not that we're going to know that. It is very, very dark. It's I don't know what time it actually is, but it's probably about midnight in the session right now. We can't see anything in the session. They go, oh, it's only 10:30. But anyway, it is very, very dark for the drivers here tonight.
Yes. I wasn't aware it was going to go this dark. So this could be an interesting one. We're going to rely on lights quite a lot. Got these Corvette and the Aston Martin running around here as well. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I can't really picture how this is going to go in my head, to be blatantly honest. I'm hoping all of a sudden when we change over and we start gridding that it might flick the daylight, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I'm not confident of that, to be honest. I think it will be a dark race. But, you know, that's fine to have a different kind of challenge. This are the championship standings after the opening round of the season, where Ewan Crowell finished second, but he got more bonus points, and so jumps ahead of Jason Hightower by a point after one round. Corey Stas finished third, just ahead of Dan Cosick and Dave Mould and Dean Dilts, and then Dave Hernandez finished a bit further down, as did Scott Sadler, who's of course newly promoted into the pros. They finished down at the back. They were actually second last and third last to Hernandez and Sadler. Anthony Solomon won in the AM class. Getting more bonus points as well ahead of Tim Watchow. Just one position between those two, but obviously bonus points playing into that. Pat Mish finishing in third place in the class, and then Steve Kube with Christopher Herron actually getting a point taken away from him at the end of the race, and Stephen Johnson rounding out the 6 AMs who were at the first round. We do actually have a few more actually in the session today than what we had in the opening round of the season, which came in the Spec Racer Ford. A very good round of the championship, I've got to say. But we've got a few more in the session here. That obviously doesn't say on the left-hand side. Only 11 have actually set times, but we have got 17 in the session. So we should get a few more onto the board. And you were telling me just before on, James, that there's a lot of new names in the AMs. Not necessarily in terms of names we haven't seen before, just names that weren't there at the opening round.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot more people that have turned up in the AMs that didn't score points from round number 1. So we are expecting that to grow as the season goes on. And John Amico is back, Houston Elliott, Chris Heron, all at the same time. Dylan Hesselink is also here in round number 2 as well. So we're going to see how it goes. There's a lot more people in the pros as well. Matthew Mueller, I think, wasn't here from round number 1, and a couple of others. So that will grow over time. I think, obviously, when you've got a selection of cars, you know, that they can pick, then obviously that they sort of pick the rounds that they want to be at and the rounds that they don't want to be at, because we're looking at the schedule. You know, you got the GT1 class this week, Ligier's LMP3s, Street Stocks coming up on April 9th, Porsche Cup 992s, SR8s, Pro 2 Lights. That's going to be an interesting one. Delara LMP2, GT3, Nissan ZXT, GTP, and the TCRs to finish off on May 28th before we go to Duck Week. So there's lots of different car choices, and people will pick, like, you know, what cars they're going to turn up on and what cars they're not going to turn up on. So it's a good mix of Astons and Corvettes. So we'll see how this one goes.
I'm glad it's a good mix as well to kick off this season, or this round, I should say. Having said that, in qualifying, 6 of the top 7 are all Aston Martins right now in the field. And so it's... Yeah, it is going to be dominated, you would imagine, at the front by them, although it doesn't mean that one of the Corvettes can't come through. For example, Evan Crowder does not set a qualifying time, and he's down towards the back end of the... will be starting down towards the back end. You'd imagine he'll be making some overtakes pretty early on in the race as well. By the way, I'm sure you can see Steve Kube and Stephen Johnson have set times that surely are not going to stand, with the 109.5 in the 1 minute and a half slower lap time there from Johnson as well. Surely they are not going to be times by the end either. And indeed, they do not. They will drop down to the back end of those who have set times. It's going to be Pat Labrosse who takes the pole position in his debut this season, ahead of Jason Hightower. It is Corey Stas and Dave Mull on row 2, ahead of Dave Hernandez and Dan Kosick. Then you've got the pole sitter of Pat Meesh, ahead of Tim Watchow on row 4. Aaron Smith and Matt Green round out the top 10, with Evan Crowder just outside of the top 10. These are guys all who haven't set times, by the way. Steve Kube obviously didn't have that lap time count. Neither did Stephen Johnson. Anthony Solomon starts from 14th, but Houston, John Amico and Dylan Hesslink down at the back end of the field. As we said, those drivers, a lot of them, making their first appearance of the season. Dylan Hesslink wasn't there last week, neither was John Amico or Houston Elliott, the last three in the field. But Solomon is the championship leader, didn't win the opening round. It's the case in both of the classes, actually, that the winner of the opening round has not taken the lead in the championship because of bonus points. So a bit of a strange phenomenon after the opening round, but it's the thing you get with bonus points especially. Can make the border look a little bit different to what it was on the day, as these drivers get gridded up and are ready to make their way down the back straight in towards the combined 24-hour layout for the first time this season. A very tight opening chicane for 17 fairly big GT1 cars.
Yes, they are going to feel this, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the dark as well. Clearly the session did not change over to daylight, unfortunately for us, so going to be a little bit blind on this one, but we should be all right and see how they get on. But I think this is going to be a very interesting race. These cars do look quite beaty, and you know, both of them sitting in and around 600 brake horsepower, and I think some people aren't going to get to the end, I've got to be honest.
Well, yeah, that is the age-old thing that it's going to be true again here. Kube and Johnson haven't got onto the grid, unfortunately. According to what I'm seeing, they are going to get
pit lane
to the session from the pit lane. So we'll see about that. But they are not going to take the start of the race from the circuit. Instead, the top 14 will do. It doesn't look so bad here. Something I never realised, the pace car doesn't have headlights. So it's a good job the others are behind it to light the way. Otherwise, it'd be very difficult to see.
Never noticed
it doesn't look so bad right now. It's when you get through the sort of back end of the Nordschleife and everybody's on their own, it's going to be pretty difficult to see who is where. And yeah, it's about who can deal with these conditions at the best and who's done the practice, because it's almost muscle memory sometimes. The headlights are not great in these cars. Back in the days when GT cars had yellow headlights instead of the white ones, because they'd always race with prototypes that would have much stronger white headlights. Well, they're on their own here, and they've got some fairly rubbish, I've got to say, yellow headlights.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing, isn't it? How they're going to handle this. They've just got to, well, I guess, full beam it and hope they can see, I suppose. That's going to be the only way they're going to be able to... you know, I've never noticed that the trucks never had headlights. It's so bizarre. What does it do if they all stop and it goes off in the dark? Will it just find its way to the pit lane?
I think it probably is on a train track, isn't it? On the way to the pit lane. It's not driven by a real person, of course, so it's probably fine. But it does look a bit odd for it not to even have headlights on at this at the front of the race, and the fact that it's a truck just doesn't feel quite right at the Nurburgring. Anyway, through the final chicane. And Pat Labrosse is going to be in control of the field in one of the few Corvettes out front in the field. In fact, the next four are all Aston Martins lined up on the inside line, and indeed on the outside beside him. So he's going to be under pressure in towards turn one, that's for sure, as he makes his way now out the final corner and up towards the line. He's going to hold us for a while before the green flag waves and we get this race underway. He holds us for a bit longer, and now he does go. Round 2 of the Chair Racing Ring Runners in Season 10 is underway, and Pat Labrosse gets off to a good start from the front of the field. Hightower just in behind him, with Staffs in line as well. Top three, all single file as they go through the opening section of corners. Has everybody got through cleanly? It looks like it, at least at the front end of the field. Even in the top of the arm standings, it gets pretty close, but everybody makes it through the first chicane without any problems.
Yeah, definitely. And Steve Goodbye is out on the racetrack, and so is Stephen Johnson. So we've got a full field, which is going to be cool. Evan Crouchfield still there, sitting currently in 7th place overall, up 4 places from where apparently it started. As we jump on board as well with these great looking cars, and they sound absolutely amazing.
Fantastic sounding. We'll ride on board with both manufacturers at one stage to just enjoy the sounds, because it is wonderful. Meanwhile, further back, we've got Matt Green making up places from where he started the day. Now up to 11th place, just ahead of Houston Elliott. This is going to be what the first part of the race is like for him, making his way past the AM drivers. Now through the right-hander again. That should be a decent exit, and the straight line speed should be a bit better in this Corvette. Side by side towards the chicane. He's flashing his lights. I'm coming through, he says, and he is right. He comes through into 10th place.
Yeah, the interesting thing is the Corvette's actually 10 brake horsepower slower than the Aston Martin. As well, so the Corvette's got 590, the Aston Martin's got 600, but whether or not that's going to make a difference, as we say every single week when it's in the hands of the driver, I think that's going to be a different perspective altogether as we jump on board with the Aston Martin of Hightower, chasing down the Corvette of Pat Labrosse, which is absolutely flying away, to be blatantly honest.
He's got off to a good start in this race. These cars
Oh,
are...
no,
Oh,
he
the
hasn't.
spin! Labrosse! Oh, out of harness, and he's gone for a spin. That is really costly. He's actually got it turned around quite well there. He didn't have to wait for the whole field to come round, because he just got it turned around quite well. But he's gone for a very, very costly spin, and he's all the way down to 9th.
Oh, right at the moment we tell he turns around and says he's flying. He is. He's flying around in a circle, unfortunately for Pat Labrosse. So can we really be blamed for that one, for the commentator's coincidence? I don't know.
It wasn't like you were saying he's going to win. So it's,
Oh, I just turned around and said he's absolutely flying. But
well, yeah. Well, it was true as well. He's got straight. Oh, and Aaron Smith's gone off, but Arenberg, he's broken too late for the corner, and there he is, picking himself out the gravel. I'm not going to see whether he's got any damage or not, but he might well do after that down there at the bottom of the hill. Anthony Solomon and John Amico are both back to the pit lane, by the way. I'm sure we'll have a look at their trials and tribulations later. That is Jason Hightower off through Adnar Forest. He's gone too deep on the brakes, and Corey Sachs is going to come through here. Dave Ball's going to try and follow as well, as the 3 Aston Martins battle for the lead here. Still side by side actually into Metzgersfeld. Hightower not giving it up, and he will hang on to the lead. That was a bit odd. And there's contact. Mull hits the back of Stas as they all break for the left-hander. This is a really exciting and close, hardly fought start to the race.
yeah, these guys really not holding back at the moment. On board with Dave Moe, he's got Hernandez tucked in. Stas is in front. Hightower was a lucky boy. He hung on to the lead, which I was quite surprised about, to be honest. But he did manage to do that after making his mistake. But yeah, he's can't be doing that very often, but he is pulling away. He's about 1.1 at the moment up the road. However, Hernandez and Crouchfield are battling away in behind him. What they don't want to do is fight over this first lap, and they've got to make sure that they can literally stay with the leader or in the vicinity of the leader. Whoa,
Oh.
big old wobble from Crouchfield, as I was expecting the draft to be quite strong, but we're going to find out.
It's a really big slide, but Crouchfield saves it. What a start he's made as well. A bit like last week. 6 places gained already from Evan Crouchfield, and he's already battling away with the others for the race lead now, with Labrosse not that far behind as well, even after that spin. He is lurking in the background as we get to the end of the first half of the first lap. First of 4, as always. We've got 4 laps in these races for us to enjoy in the GT1s. Of the combined long layout, by the way, next week in the LMP3s. That is going to be an even longer lap than what these guys are doing. I don't think the LMP3s are any quicker than these GT1s as well. I don't actually know. But Anyway, we'll see next week when we get to that, as they go now in towards the carousel for the first time. And he's Hightower who's leading and starting to just pull a bit of a margin. 1.8 seconds actually now ahead of Stas and Mull, who are next in line trying to chase him down.
Yeah, he is at the moment. I just wanted to see, I think on that first run through the carousel, Crutfield just popped out a little bit earlier because he was a little bit further back coming out there. It looks like Stephen Johnson's had an issue. Matt Green has also had some drama. We'll try and have a look back at that one as well. Houston Elliott's been off the track. Dylan Hesslink's flirting in and around track limits. And I think, unfortunately for Dylan, yeah, he flirted a little bit too much and unfortunately has come a little bit of a cropper. But it's so interesting that you can sit back and you almost want to put these cars in a multi-class with an LMP3 just to see if there is a massive speed disparity between the two of them, because I think that could be quite an interesting idea for somebody to throw up as like a surprise, I don't know, special event or something.
Yeah, so I was just trying to find if the GT1 cars ever raced around the Nordschleife Parkway. To my knowledge, not, but I don't know that for absolute sure. To be honest, we obviously used to have a world championship for GT1s. They've definitely raced around the Grand Prix circuit in 2010. I don't know which layout they did in 2012 though, which is the problem. It feels like maybe they didn't at these cars. They are very, very quick, but it's the beauty of sim racing. We get to take these classes on tracks we don't normally see them on. That's wide from Grapwald, and that is Pat Labrosse straight through there at the small carousel. Now we're going to find out though where the slipstreaming advantage is, and if these two Corvettes maybe are going to overtake Dave Hernandez, who's going to be in one of these Aston Martins without slipstream, and well, he's going to have Labrosse queuing up behind him here to try and come through.
You can see the speed difference is absolutely massive there to Labrosse already. Closing in, topping north of 178. Is he going to hit 180? Here we go. He's going to pull out. It's caught him at the right time. It's also going off in front with Corey Stas and Dave Mole. They're free. Oh, I thought they were free wide further back, but Mole and Stas manages to hold on. Labrosse comes through and gets both. He gets Krautfeld done and then goes and gets David Anders as well. So Labrosse making his way back through the field at the same time. Great rundown. And as we expected, the draft was strong. That's the thing. I think we were looking to see if it was, and it actually was here at the same time as these guys have come down as well. That is somebody off the side of the circuit. I think that, no, it wasn't Houston Elliott. Was that Steve?
It was Matt Green.
Matt Green, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And, well, undoing most of the work that he did on the opening lap. He's made quite a few overtakes, so he's about to make one more. That's Aaron Smith going off in towards turn one, going a bit wide. And that allows Green straight through into the top 10. Mason Watchout will be next, 8th and 9th. So Green will look to try and pass them as soon as possible as well. But into the opening lap, and these guys are quite a long way away from the front end of the field. That's very wide from Watchout, and he's still going to be second in the outclass, but he's given away 2 positions for free there.
Yeah, he did. He just ran off and unfortunately he's gone off the side of the circuit. That was it for Tim Watchout. He's going to have to set chase here as well. What I did want to see is try and find somebody who's driving around a little bit on their own, because I did want to see just how powerful the headlights were. You can kind of get an idea. They can see still quite far up the road, but it's just that horrible yellow tint that we as broadcasters try and get rid of here in iRacing, but these guys unfortunately are going to have to suffer with it. That's the colour of their lights.
That's exactly what they have in, or had, I should say, in real life. Even as, I can't remember when they changed it actually, but even GTE, back in the day, as Labrosse gets down the inside of Mull pretty nicely in towards the opening corner of the Nordschleife. That's now 3rd place for Pat Labrosse. Yeah, even as recently as maybe 6-7 years ago, the GTE cars had yellow headlights in the real world as well. They have been replaced by white ones. They can actually see where they're going a bit better now, but this is what they used to deal with back in the GT1 days, when this was the top class of GT racing and they were used in Le Mans and the equivalent of the World Endurance Championship around the world in whatever series that they were in. And it was difficult to see where you're going. Helpful when you've got other people around you, like what we've seen here with Evan Crouchard, who's got Dave Mull to follow. And he's indeed following a pair of headlights, 2 pairs of headlights coming up in front of him from Stas and Labroche. But look at the speed of the Corvette here. It's a better run through Flugplatz, and it's really high speed. Oh, and he's going to be contact. How he's avoided the wall there in a bigger accident is a mystery. He's got away with it, and ahead, Labroche showed him how it should be done. He gets past Corey Stats for 2nd place.
Yeah, Crutchfield nearly ended up in a wall. Wow, look at the gravel. Oh my God. Somebody spat that up all over the place, and unfortunately, it's right across the circuit. Harold Crutchfield did not go in the wall then, but Mole did what he could do. He put the car in the right place. He blocked him off, and unfortunately, Crutchfield was kind of mid. Oh, big old slide from Mole. Settle it down, son. Settle it down. But yeah, how Crutchfield stayed out of the wall, absolutely amazing on that one.
Absolutely fantastic. He is going to remain in the 5th place. Down on the brakes again through Metzgersfeld. That's quite deep from Moll. Oh, he's just pulled it up in time. Surely Crutchfield's going to stab it down the inside at Callan-Hard now. No, not quite enough speed. And if he was in an Aston Martin, he might be able to do that. But don't forget, we're talking a lot about the Corvette's advantage in a straight line. Of course, that means the Aston Martin's going to gain back the time somewhere. Of course, it is a bit better on the brakes, a bit better through the corners as well than the Corvette.
Yeah, but let's not forget when it was in its heyday, you know, between 2005 or 2008, Corvette was dominant in real life. So, you know, is it going to be the same here, do we think? It took four teams championships and drivers championships in the ALMS from 2005 to 2008. So it was a pretty dominant car, to be fair.
Yeah, I can't remember whether the Aston Martin even did ALMS, but yeah, there would have been other manufacturers for them to beat. I'm not saying they did it on their own. Here comes the Crutchfield down the inside again. He just to peak, but he's not going anywhere. Yeah, in American racing, it certainly is true. The Corvette was very, very strong indeed. He certainly would have beaten the Porsche that was around in the day. That's for sure. Around that period, as they now come through the Kesselchen section and the run up the hill. Hernandez just going to get the slipstream from the Corvette, but Crutchfield's bad run into Bergwerk means that he's quite going to have as clear cut of a chance as he could have done. If he'd have stopped himself going for that move at Bergwerk there, he could have got a better run out the corner and he would have made the overtake there in towards the fast left-hander, but as it is, he's still stuck behind and he's going to have to waste even more time behind the Aston Martin.
Yeah, he is at the moment, but it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda moment, isn't it? Let's be real about it. Shoulda, would have done that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda done that. We never know what might have happened, but at the moment, for Crutchfield, he's just got to settle back down. He clearly is. I'm not, no disrespect, Dave, if you watch this back, because I know you normally drop comments on the YouTube video, but he does look quicker. So, apologies, Dave, but he does look quicker. Oh, he nearly got his nose chopped out. The thing is, for Crutchfield, it's very much like he's trying to rush the overtake. He's trying to take any opportunity to try and have a go. The problem with trying to rush it and have a go is it could end up in disaster. So he's got to really settle down and make sure that he can get through this without any troubles, because at the moment he's looking very rushed on lap 2.
Yeah, he's better off waiting for just one clear-cut, really good chance to go down the inside and make it through into 4th. But as it is, he is just sort of trying it anywhere. That's not going to get you any positions. Admittedly, through this section, it's going to be very difficult for him to get anywhere anyway, because of the way the Aston Martin is through the middle sector. But either way, it is worth a go as they now go down the other side of the hill and towards Flanscon. They're certainly going to be getting air in these cars. A lot of speed, not a lot of downforce compared to some of the other cars that we're going to see later on this season that are certainly not going to be lifting off the ground. I don't think the spec races forward would have been last week as Crutchfield closes in again. Good run even into this corner here, but again no chance to get through, and well, it's going to be an easy one on the back straight, but he's lost a lot of time sort of spent behind the Aston Martin here. That would be the real concern for him. In fact, he's lost that time. Not that he's not going to be concerned that he's never going to make the overtake, because you'd imagine that it's coming here on the back straight.
Yeah, I expect it to be honest, but I do wonder if he lost time because he tried to do them nuts dives in certain places that was never going to work. And I think for a minute, he should have just waited and, as you said, for a clear-cut opportunity. Mole put that car in the middle of the circuit and was just like, well, which way are you going to go? And Crutchfield said, well, I'll have this way. And now it's going to be a straight sprint down underneath the Bilston at the moment. But he's done it at the right time. He should be able to get that downward speed as well coming out. You see something 144, 145. On he goes, and the Corvette does go through. He chops the nose off Dave Mole, says, nope, you're not coming back at me. And Dave now is going to have to deal with the other Dave of Mr. Hernandez in behind him.
It's going to be a battle that continues, I reckon. And the two Aston Martins, the two Corvettes are fighting here, Smith and Cosick. And Smith to get past Dan Cosick, and clearly didn't find the wall, or at least didn't find it too hard, because he's looking still fine here, is Aaron Smith, as he looks to try and get into 7th place. That's a better run out the final corners from him. He's going to be right in the slipstream, pulling alongside already here, as he makes his way down the straight now in towards turn number 1. Dan Cosick is going to be overtaken here by Smith shortly. On the brakes they go, and he dives for the apex. Aaron Smith moves up to 7th place as expected, so that's a nice overtake from him. And well, Cosick got it a bit wrong into the first chicane as well, so the gap already increases to a second. That is a very good move from Smith, but whether he can get any more positions in the last 2 laps remains to be seen.
Got damage on the right side of that car. His rear quarter door looking a bit crumpled. So whatever he's hit that side.
Rear
See, yeah, the rear quarter panel on the well, left-hand side as we're looking at the car, got damage on it there. You just see it up by the door bar there. A bit hard to see in the dark, but when the light was reflecting, there was a bit of crumpled metal on the left-hand side there, up by the number board. But we'll see what went on with that. There was a lot of people, by the way, who have had incidents. Steve Cabai, John Amico, Stephen Johnson, Tim Watchow, all been off. Houston Elliott, Aaron Smith, Dylan Hesselink, Matt Green. So yeah, that replay run through later could be a bit intense.
There's going to be plenty to look through. That's Cooper. Watchow, sorry, going wide. And that's Houston Elliott right on the back of him now. Trying to come through here for a podium place. Watchow was running quite near the lead earlier on. But now he's only just onto the top 3 positions, holding on to the top 3 positions. As he goes now in towards the fast chicane. Houston Elliott just in behind, looking for a way through here as they go left then right towards the north side section. Could have done with getting through before then, because that was going to be difficult, and now he slides. Don't think he grabbed the wall there, but now he's going to get the free place. Just the very next corner, Tim Watchow goes for a spin.
Oh man, Houston Elliott nearly lost it, and then Watchow did actually lose it as well. I wonder if Watchow sort of sat back in and looked back in the mirror and was like, oh, my opportunity. And unfortunately, well, that happened. So there you go. Out of the 2 cars, if we gave you a choice, Mr. O'Leary, which one would you pick?
The Aston Martin, I think.
Would you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
It sounds way better than the Corvette, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I just think the Corvette is... It's a Corvette, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the Corvette definitely looks better than the Aston Martin, I would say, but the Aston Martin sounds so much better, and although I haven't driven either of these cars, I much prefer to be in the car that handles better and is slower on a straight than it is the other way around. So that's why I'd choose the Aston Martin, yeah.
Okay, fair play. I wouldn't, but there we go. Just it's. You know what I mean? But there you go.
It is. I had a little bit about driving style as well, to be honest, because yeah, I used to do a series, by the way, where there was 2 specifications of car. This is on a game, effectively, that you could modify your cars a lot more than you can in iRacing. It's not a sim or anything. You could either make a very slow speed, sort of low powered but very well handling car, or oh dear, as I'll get back to that in a second. Kube goes off, and Houston Elliott comes straight through. We'll see if Kube can get back through again in the twisty section. But yeah, you could even make a very well handling car with low power, a very badly handling car, really badly, with about 1,000 horsepower. And obviously, I would always choose the better handling car, because it's a lot more fun. I don't see the going into fast in a straight line in a sim. It's just not very fun. You'd much rather the better handling car, surely. I mean, clearly not, because not everyone did the same as me. But yeah, I can't quite get my head around people who would rather go fast in a straight line than fast through the corners. Anyway,
I think that's because certain tracks suit that. Crutfield's just
Oh,
gone
that
off.
is true.
Crutfield has just gone off,
He
and he's
has.
jumped straight back to pit lane. Obviously,
It's like a solo problem. I didn't know one was around him.
no, it was literally all on his own. Unfortunately for Evan Crutfield, but again, we'll have a look back at the replay run through at the end of the race. All of them are a little bit spread out now, which I'm quite disappointed about, because I thought they might have been a little bit closer, but clearly not this time. I wonder if Amico's got a Liverpool livery. Yes, he. Surprise,
That's
surprise.
Anthony Solomon.
Andy Solomon, sorry, that's the one I wanted. Yeah, he has. I swear, whoever makes his livery, just make it a Liverpool livery for every car he's got.
And the confusing thing about it is other than the crest and the writing, that none of the colours relate to Liverpool in any way.
Well, he's got red.
Well, a bit. It's
But
mainly
they-
green and white. What's
yeah, but
that about?
they had a third kit that was green, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah, give me 2 secs. They did. I'm sure they did.
Well, maybe. Yeah,
Yes, they
it's,
did. 2022-23 Liverpool third shirt was green. So that was their kit, but they've also got a Nike Liverpool 24-25 goalkeeper shirt that's also green at the same time. So yes, they did have a green kit in 22-23 on their third kit. So that's the green relates to that. The red is obviously the Liverpool, and the white, well, maybe just because it's there.
It's that's very confusing. It's not the colour you associate with Liverpool, is it? Green, especially that
No,
sort
'cause
of.
They had
strange
that
mint
pink
green.
badge thing, didn't they? I'll send you. I found it. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, as well. Sorry, we'll just deal with this situation. But yeah, they had that green with the pink on, the pink badges. Must remember that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's not ringing a very loud bell in my head, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's I don't pay enough attention clearly to. But you know, I don't support Liverpool either, so you know, maybe I pay the right amount of attention. I watch them twice a year. when
You pay the
when we
right
play
amount
them,
of attention to them. I don't watch them. That's like me,
Anyway.
me as a Spurs fan following Arsenal, going, "Oh yeah, I follow Arsenal's game." No, do I?
I do
Hell.
watch them twice a year. Houston Elliott's off, by the way, and he's dropping down from second place. Oh dear, and he's in the wall, down. Oh well, good luck finding where that is. I can't see, obviously, but he's off in the wall somewhere. It looks like he's welded in the wall. Is he trying to? He's trying to
on the
reverse
right,
himself. Back.
He's up from he's up through Brunchen and S curve.
Oh, he's trying to yank
He's-
himself out, but he just can't do it.
I think he's stuck. To be blatantly honest, I think he's beached. And there we go.
He's broken his headlights in the process, or he's turned them off. Now I really can't see anything.
No, he's gone back to pit lane. So we'll have a look back at that one because that looked quite spectacular. I might have to make some graphic adjustments while we do the replay. Otherwise, we're not going to see nothing, even on the replay. As Hightower there.
The onboard,
Huh?
the onboard would probably see something, but yeah, offboard it's going to be quite difficult in the dark conditions. Jason Hightower has taken the white flag, and there's one more lap to go. Pat Labrosse last time round set the fastest lap of the race. It was 2.1 seconds quicker than Hightower, so this race is not over. I think by the end of this lap, then we could have a race on for the win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very close indeed by the end of this, to be blatantly honest. And for Hightower, but we'll keep an eye out and see how this goes on. As long as obviously Pat doesn't make any more errors or issues for himself over this final lap, he should literally finish in second, possibly first. He's clearly got pace for days as the gravel spits up on the left-hand side there. So this could be an interesting final lap here with Pat Labrosse.
Could be. And the worry as well for Hightower is that if he even lets Labrosse get close, then it's a real concern for the end of the race. Normally, you'd think, even if it was, half a second behind you going through Gavin Cop for the final time, you'd think, well, I've still got a chance here. He certainly would have done in the spec race of fours last week and pretty much every other car other than these. Certainly for the next few weeks, we'd actually have a choice of manufacturer for these guys until mid-May, by the way. So we're not going to see this situation for some time again. But point being, in those other categories, those other races later this season, you're going to have a chance to either come back through or defend because you're in the same car. This time round, I don't see how the Aston Martin can either hang on or indeed re-overtake on that back straight, because it is clearly not as quick as the Corvette in a straight line, and we've seen that proven time and again here in this race.
Yeah, the Corvette, it does look strong, but it's what Hightower's going to be able to do. He needs to really make gains through this section, and he kind of he's keeping it kind of around about the 6.5 tenth mark, to be blatantly honest. I thought it was going to go up, but not that much. But Hightower again there, 8 tenths, got 2 tenths out on that corner. So he's gained enough to should stay in front of him down into Arenberg. But the question is what's he going to be able to do after that, and how much time is Labrosse going to gain here?
He's going to gain quite a lot even in this bit, down on the way towards Schwedenkreuz. Let's have a look at the gap dip below a second there as went through the high-speed right-hander. Hightower just pulled out an advantage, and now he's going to be pegged back slightly by Labrosse. Aaron Smith is off the road meanwhile, and he's dropping down the field. I think he was catching Dave Hernandez for 5th place, and now he's spun. I think he's done exactly what Pat Labrosse did, although maybe with some worse consequences. He's slowing in the wall, and he's going to go back to pit lane.
Yeah, he has. That's another one done. It looked like Pat Misch has also had an issue in and around him. Hesselink again, unfortunately having a rough one. Smith, Kraftfeld, Elliott and Hesselink all in, well, 3 are in pit lane, 1 of them's out, and the gap up front now down below half a second. So Hightower's got to determine what he's got to do here and how he's going to stay ahead of Labrosse, and whether or not he even can.
Yeah, well, yes. It's a bit of a burning question right now, as Anthony Solomon also drops down to the back. We are going to have a very long replay coming up for you at the end of this race. There's a lot of things to talk about. But, you know, these GT1 cars are pretty difficult to drive. Extremely high power, as you were talking about earlier on, 600 horsepower or just less, depending on which manufacturer you're in. Fairly beefy tyres, but not great. And not a lot of absolutely not a lot of downforce at all. Compared to, or considering, I should say, the technology around at the time. Oh, gosh! It's a huge crash! He was bearing down with a sense of inevitability about in this chase. He was chasing Jason Hightower. He was looking like he was going to go through at one stage, but he's hit the wall hard at the siphon and he's out the race.
Oh my God. You would have had him for a shoe-in for the win as well. But Pat Labrosse, he just had to make it round the final lap, and he didn't. That's released Hightower for days. Hightower can just say, thanks very much. I'm on a little toodle run now. And he can just get all the way around with a 15.5-second gap. That was absolutely insane from Pat Labrosse there.
Wow. It's a mistake that we've seen in the past from the driver of the Corvette, or indeed any of the or either of the manufacturers, I should say. It's a difficult corner in these GT1s to brake and turn at the same time when you're getting slowed down for the siphon, but it's the fact that he was surely chasing down for the race lead there, and I mean, goodness knows how Hightower will be feeling at this stage. He would have felt at some stage of that previous lap that he was definitely going to lose the lead and there wasn't anything he could do about it, but now he's cruising to a victory, surely, with 16 seconds of an advantage.
Let's not forget, though, Hightower has crashed on the final lap at the final corner. Went out in front before. So.
Well, yes.
So let's make sure he doesn't do that again, because he has done that before. That's Hightower.
It's true. It's true. But, you know, I can't see it happening again here, to be honest with you. And even if he does, he's got time to recover from a spin with 16 seconds in behind him. Pat Misch, by the way, has had a very comfortable race in the AM class here today. He's currently in 7th place, 9 seconds in front of Steve Kubek. Feels like this could be his season in the AM class, to be honest. He is not leader of the championship after the opening round because he was only 3rd at the opening round of the season. But it feels like it could be his season now with Dan Kosick and Scott Sadler, who used to be around him before, obviously promoted to the AM class, pro class rather, after winning the AM championship in the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's always been that nearly man, hasn't he? Nearly there, nearly there, nearly there. And this season, I hope he can get there, because he does deserve it. He is quick and I think he might be able to mix it up with sort of the pros, but it kind of drives you on when you go promoted. You're like, oh, I don't really want to be like that guy who's at the back. So you kind of get spurred on and try harder and practice harder and try and get better. And I think that could surprise us if he goes up into pros next season, whether or not he, it would make that jump into that top 5 area.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it from Kosick here today, up inside the top 5. It's definitely possible, but it is a steep learning curve when you get promoted. As now Hightower is making his way down the back straight for the final time. It was victory for him last week, but not a championship lead because he missed out on some important bonus points. Well, this time round he's going to have led every lap on his way to the win. And he's going to take the championship lead surely into the 3rd round of the championship after this great victory. The gap continuing to extend to those behind him now. It was only Pat Labrosse, realistically, who was quicker than him, but he was able to keep it on the road. 2 spins for Labrosse and a crash in the end. Hightower without a single mistake over the course of the evening. Through the final chicane he goes now, and out onto the front straight. It's going to be Jason Hightower, who goes back-to-back at the start of Season 10. In the Tail Racing Ring Runners, he flashes the lights as well. He wins round 2 comfortably in the end, even after that bit of pressure on the last lap.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a comfortable last lap at all. Ross was the master of his own downfall, unfortunately for Pat, but that wouldn't have been a comfortable run for Hightower there, not one bit. Green's closed up on the Corvette of Dan Kosick, but I don't think he's going to get there. I think Kosick should hold on here. Well, any dramas? He doesn't have any dramas and does come through, but yeah, that wouldn't have been comfortable for Hightower at all, that final lap. He did well, but lucky boy, really.
This is Pat Mish. Meanwhile, another 25 seconds behind that battle for 5th place. We were just watching over the line. Going to be victory number 1 of the season for Pat Mish. Tim Watchout in the who won in the opening round. He's going to finish on the podium. Those two will be very close on points at the end of the opening 2 rounds. As Mish comes over the line, he wins in the AM class for the first time this season. And if Steve Kube, who is going to have his best result, his first podium of the season, and it is going to be a 2nd place for him, just ahead of Watchout, who won the opening round of the season. In the AM class, still very early, of course, in the season, though. We're running all the way to June the 4th, by the way, in season number 10. So make sure you join us for all of those between now and then. I've noticed Houston Elliott has dropped out on this last lap as well, by the way.
He's had some drama.
He crashed.
No, he did.
Oh, right. Okay.
He did. He's had
just
some
dropped out the session.
No, but he's had some drama. Anthony Solomon has also had some drama. And as you say, this run through could be probably as long as the race. By the looks of some of these, it's flashed up on my screen. So there we go. It's going to be an interesting one to see. But we've got obviously Stephen Johnson coming over the line in his Aston Martin and finishes 4th in AMS. Still got John Amico out on track, but he's a long way away.
He is indeed, and we know where he's going to finish as well at the end of this race. So we might as well have a look at the race results while he's completing his final lap, because he is only going to be 11th as long as he crosses the line in the. Well, there's the individual results. We'll have a look at them in their entirety. That's how they score points, after all. It's Jason Hightower who takes the victory. 18 seconds at the line, but that doesn't tell the full story of the race. Corey Stas gets promoted to 2nd on the last lap, then ahead of Dave Mull, who's also inside the top 3. For a few seconds back is Dave Hernandez in 4th, ahead of Dan Kosick in 5th. Just behind him is Matt Green, chasing quite a lot towards the very end there, but couldn't quite get past. Pat Mace wins in the AM class, just over a minute off the lead, ahead of Steve Kube, Tim Watchow on the podium. Stephen Johnson finishes in 10th place, with John Amico indeed getting towards the end of the last lap there, but finishing a long way behind everybody else. Pat Labrosse crashed on that last lap, finished 12th ahead of Aaron Smith, with Houston Elliott dropping out on the last lap, as well as Anthony Solomon, who actually exited the pit lane, I noticed, not that long ago, but then went straight back in again because the rest had finished the race. Evan Crowder finished 2 laps down. He only got halfway through the race, as did Dylan Hesslink in the end, in that 17-car field. So, Yes, lots of replays to have a look at here in this replay run-through.
Yeah, we've got Houston Elliott's moment. I'm going to try and go on far. Hopefully that might sort of give us a little bit. This is halfway round that one, and unfortunately spins and goes into the wall for Houston Elliott. So a little bit of dramas for him, but there was a lot going on early doors. Matt Green is another one that made a mistake, and unfortunately looked like probably not done far off Pat LaBrosse.
Whoa. Bit of a spin through the middle of the corner rather than on the entry, like what we're going to see for Pat LaBrosse a little bit later on. So quick spin for Green on that occasion, and he got back going again. This is Stephen Johnson. Difficulty of the carousel. He is a bit wild through there. Oh, and he hits the wall quite hard as well.
Ouch.
I often see that after the carousel.
No, he absolutely thumped it, didn't he? To be honest with you. Dylan Hesselink is also another one that had drama. Oh,
It's too late.
Yeah, way too hot. Didn't even get round there. That sent him back to pit lane. I would say you can have a look at the steering, but unfortunately it's black for Dylan Hesselink. But Stephen Johnson had more drama after that. Matt Green just popping off the side of the circuit, having a moment all on his own for him. He's going to run wide, coming into the final corner, and then just sort of bounces through it. But very hard because there was a lot of people who had major drama, and then there was some people who just had little bit. Oh, you're too fast there, sir.
Well, I thought he was going to make it actually, but no, he just went a bit too wide. Houston Elliott, and that cost him a place. It's a difficult place to spot your braking point, to be fair, because the wall's so far away, and any braking marker. There's a spin for watch out. Didn't he have another one later on that we saw live? Yeah, through the very same corner, so clearly not enjoying the opening corner of the Nordside foot. This is him later in the same lap here, doing a Pat LaBrosse, is it? Or is it more like what Green did? Oh, it's sort of in the middle of the two. Went straight on through the middle of the corner and just donked the wall a little bit, but didn't do a lot of damage to him that time round.
Stephen Johnson having more drama as well. It seems to be... Wow. That was bizarre.
Was a bit.
Kind of did it all on his own, but there was a lot in place. This is Tim Watchell's other one. Steve Cabay had a couple all at the same time.
Yeah, this is the one we saw live, I think.
Yeah.
All right, watch out.
Fortunately for him.
There's no rear downforce there at all to keep the car in place. This is Aaron Crowden. So how did he lose the fourth position? Got up on the curb on the outside, and that's a pretty big bit of contact with the wall.
Wow, he thumped that as well. Just hits the curb on the outside, and unfortunately, there was no grip on that curb. Boom. Round we go. And that sent him straight back to pit lane.
Yeah, he didn't have any headlights anymore, so I think he might have carried on if he could, but couldn't see where he was going anymore, so didn't carry on. That's Houston Elliott on the brakes. It's on the downshift where these cars are starting to struggle. Oh, and that'll be frustrating. That's is this what we were seeing earlier with him?
This is where he backwards and forwards trying to get out. He looked like he got wedged in there.
He did get wedged into the wall, unfortunately. So just couldn't reverse himself out, which is very frustrating indeed. Because realistically, he could have carried on, but he was just wedged into the wall.
He definitely was, and that sent him straight back to pit lane. Final lap, Pat Meesh having his own little dramas, and then Aaron Smith also having one. Oh, bro, you're on the curb. That's going round. Like one of them awkward half spins that you really don't want. You end up having to get here as well.
This is Aaron Smith. Maybe this is why he didn't actually get fifth place in the end. If he had avoided this spin, maybe it would have been different. Oh, he backed into the wall as well. Sorry, this is Matt Green I'm talking about earlier on. That's him about to come through. There he is. Yeah, Smith couldn't carry on, of course. He dropped to the pit lane and was out the race. This is Dylan Hesselink, who I didn't realise actually even re-emerged, but he went off Adnar Forest there and I think just gave up from there.
Yeah, he did. This is the Smith obviously still trawling down the barrier. Anthony Solomon's moment where it put him in pit lane as well.
Oh, and spin and
Well, that's
bit of lock to the brakes up there as that was going around. He would have avoided that, but he went straight into the barrier. Tried to come back again, but couldn't do it. Now, this is the moment of the race, really. As Pat LaBrosse was bearing down on the race lead, he went and made this mistake in towards Verstappen.
Yeah, and that was it for Pat LaBrosse. All game over. Now, this is some last lap dramas. Oh, Luke's there. Elliot.
It's a bit weird.
Didn't quite look right, but Anthony Sullivan comes out, and as you say, I think he goes back in because he realises that.
Oh. Well, partly the race is over, partly he can't see.
Got no headlights. Oh, there's no front end, that'd be why.
I wonder whether he did the required only and thought, I might be able to get away with this, but
Clearly didn't.
in the end, it's turned out that, in fact, no, he can't get away with it, and he has to come back to pit lane. Unfortunately, can't finish the race on the circuit.
Yeah, that was basically the majority of what had happened. There was a lot more drama, but if we show everybody's, me and you will still be here a little bit late. So, yeah, that was the majority of the major incidents that we saw this week. Absolutely.
Well, it was a good round, I thought, in the GT1s. It's difficult to see in terms of where they're going because it was so dark, but a good round of the championship. Good drama at the end, although unfortunate for Pat LaBrosse there, just making that mistake on the very last lap, giving Hightower a bit of relief. And that's 2 wins out of 2 now for Jason Hightower at the start of the season.
Yeah, great start from him. Wonder if he's going to get a third one in the LMP3. That's going to be an interesting one as well, which is up next, of course. So looking forward to seeing how these guys get on.
It's 3 very different cars to start the season, and even more compliment to Hightower, who's won 2 in a row with the Spec Racer Ford and GT1s. We'll see if he can do it in a prototype for the first time this season next week. Big thanks to everyone who's tuned in again, of course, in this round of the Tail Racing Ring Runners, Season 10. This has been the GT1 round number 2. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt. Until we see you next week for the LMP3s, it's goodbye for now.